Alabama taking on Michigan out in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. We're going to talk with Michael Casagrande, who's covering the Crimson Tide, and a lot of news breaking today. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and let's get this thing started. Great to have Michael Casagrande on the scene for the first time on the channel. What's up, brother? How you been?
Good, busy, always something. It's always something out here.
It is, but I didn't expect for you to break what I think is really an unprecedented story. That Alabama had to stop using their digital iPads to watch film because of what's going on with Michigan, and I'm like, holy cow, that's significant.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't take full credit for breaking it. It was a team effort. Isaiah Bond just probably said more than Alabama was hoping he would say on the matter. It was just sort of someone asked him a basic question about the Michigan sign stealing scandal, and he kind of maybe revealed a little bit more than what they were hoping he would. And other players didn't deny it. It was pretty interesting. 15 minutes of what was a standard media interview with the Alabama offense. Michigan defense came before them. So kind of interesting. Another little bit of spice to, a Rose Bowl game that probably already has enough of it.
Yeah. Well, to me, immediately I start looking at this and I go, okay, there's three possibilities here. First off, Alabama's just like, we're just going to have, we're going to be cautious and we're going to have, just a abundance of caution, right? Second thing is you hire George Helow, who used to work there. Maybe he comes in and says, hey, you guys need to do this. The third thing is that there could be coaches that have played against these guys that have contacted Nick Saban and said, because the Big Ten coaches, they're not happy with Michigan and the other part of the sign stealing thing. So to me, it could be those three possibilities. Are those the three that you're thinking? Am I missing something? Which way do you lean?
I mean, it's all speculation, to be honest. And I know there has been message board speculation of this variety, because this is a pretty big accusation to accuse somebody of hacking into a computer system to steal information. I mean, it's some Watergate stuff. It's it's pretty interesting to even go down that road. So it's college football in 2023. It's quite a scene.
Well, look, it's not like 2017. The Houston Astros didn't use sign stealing, and modern technology to help them win the World Series. Indeed.
As a Yankees fan, I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, and think about that. They're banging on trash cans and everything else. But you know what? The technology has made it to where you could foresee a way of being able to tap into the technology that another team has and look at what they're studying. I saw something interesting the other day along the same lines. I heard Jimmy Johnson talking about watching a news report basically that had just a little bit of the Buffalo Bills video before they played in the Super Bowl on the news. And he noticed that Jim Kelly was flipping balls like little shovel passes to Thurman Thomas. And he went and said, hey, is this something that you guys have seen on film? And they said no. And they looked for it. 3 times they did it. They stopped it all 3 times. One of them was a fumble, and they ended up winning the football game. And it was the closer of the 2 games. So being able to watch walkthroughs or see film, these coaches are so smart. They know how to dissect all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the smallest advantage, the smallest tip. I mean, that's why when you have evenly matched games, the smallest detail can be the difference. So there's a reason why Alabama has a full back office staff of analysts and grad assistants that not saying they're doing anything illegal, but there's a lot of film that's very publicly available to watch for teams to break down and find tendencies. But that film that they're breaking down does not include hand signals. It's not specifically trained on the sideline to be able to steal what would be proprietary. It's not that it's hidden in plain sight during a game, but it's sort of kind of an honor code, I guess, that you don't use. It's one thing to steal signals in person or try to decipher what they're trying to say, but to use the outside technology, the cameras, that's where it crosses the line, and just can't. For the integrity of the game, you just can't have that.
It's weird for you guys to actually be able to get this much access to Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Let's be honest. Nick Saban has really cut down a lot of this stuff. These type of stories are his worst nightmare.
Yep, that's true. I mean, and it's not like we set out this morning to uncover this. It was sort of just came about in the course of an interview that probably more was said than was intended in the moment. But I mean, we're held on the leash quite a bit all during the season. So anytime you get a little bit of something interesting, it's our job to write about it and bring it to the readers. And it's been quite a well-read story today.
Yeah. Well, great job on that. All right, let's switch gears and talk about Jalen Milroe, who spoke with you guys as well. And he starts getting into Bill O'Brien suggesting, of course, Alabama's former offensive coordinator, that he needed to switch positions. And I after watching the first couple games of the season, I don't think Bill O'Brien was crazy. But then again, I mean, where Jalen Milroe is today, if you just saw the last 5 games, you'd think the guy's nuts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of context that's missing with this story. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but I mean, he's a versatile athlete who could do a lot of things. For being 6'3", as big as he is, to be as fast as he is, he's a unique athlete. But he's proven himself to be quite an effective quarterback these past couple months. When Bill O'Brien was around, who knows what he saw behind the scenes. I think there's a lot more to it, probably. But anytime they can dogpile Bill O'Brien, I know that there's an appetite for that among the fan base.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, when you look at what the team last year ended up 5th, right? And this year's team with less talent in a lot of areas, I mean, particularly, without 2 of the best players Alabama's ever had, is in this spot now where they're playing for the college football playoff. Could you have seen this happening at the beginning of the year? Did you think they were going to get it turned around like this?
No, not at all. I mean, if you read any of the things I wrote after the Texas game, after the South Florida game, I mean, it was no. If anyone who can honestly tell you after the South Florida game that this team would be sitting here in the Rose Bowl semifinal, I still would think I would still call you crazy, even though it happened. There was just nothing. There was nothing that indicated any of this was possible. At that point, I wrote a column that said, the Texas game was bad. The USF win was worse than the loss. Truly a low point. But it's been a fascinating story to tell, to observe, kind of crawling back from the grave in that sense, and for Alabama to be this underdog in a sense, the scrappy team that came from 8th to slip into the playoff with clearly a huge win over Georgia. It's an unfamiliar position for Alabama to be the team that's not necessarily the team that has something to prove. Michigan has, in every way, it seems the most to prove in this moment.
All right, last question for you. Nick Saban, you've covered him for a long time, and you've been there since almost the beginning, or maybe even the beginning. I mean, you've been back. I can remember talking to you in 2011. So
2009 was my first year.
Okay, so 2009. So you've been here for most of it. How good is he, and where do you rank this season as far as his coaching?
He's pretty good. He's a good coach. I think his legacy will be solid. Even before the season, just looking at the team, it's not the quintessential talented. It's not that it's untalented. There just wasn't really that. alpha, that player that you say this is the guy that you need to stop. You know, there's not a Derrick Henry, there's not a Amari Cooper, a Tua. You know, you go through all these like legendary, you know, championship teams that were stacked with guys who were just obvious first round guys that opponents need to key on, and it took a good bit of the season before you really start to see that develop. So it was not the kind of team preseason that I thought would be sitting in this situation right now. So it's the fact that they've gotten to this point is I think coaching is a big part of that.
Tell everyone where they can catch you. I know it's AL.com, but you guys do a tremendous job, man. You have an all-star team of guys that cover Alabama and sports in this state.
Yeah, thank you. AL.com /Alabama football. But I mean, anything. I cover a lot more. I mean, now at this point in the season, I'm pretty heavily on the Alabama football. But Twitter, X, whatever, by Casagrande, Facebook, you know. I'm one of the only people with this name out there. So if you can Google it, you can find me.
You'll find them. All right, Michael Casagrande, thank you, man. And guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Roll Tide.